Business, I'm Danny Laurel. Here are the biggest stories on the economic and corporate fronts. Moody's Investor Service has maintained its stable outlook for Philippine banks. The debt watcher cited the country's continuous economic recovery, which is unlikely to be derailed by rate hikes. The central bank has raised interest rates by 400 basis points since last year, bringing the benchmark rate to a 16-year high of 6%. Moody's also projected the profitability of banks to stabilize, underpinned by steady net interest margins and loan loss provisions. Earnings of Philippine banks jumped by 37.5% to 309 billion pesos last year from just 224 billion pesos in 2021. The outlook for other key drivers, including asset risk, funding, and liquidity, as well as government support, is marked, quote, stable. Meanwhile, bank lending grew at its slowest pace in 9 months in the month of January. Preliminary data from the Bangko Sentral show that outstanding loans by big banks, net of reverse repurchase placements with the BSP, rose 10.4% to 10.71 trillion pesos from 9.7 trillion pesos a year earlier. January credit growth, which eased from the revised 13.7% in December, was the slowest growth since the 10.1% expansion recorded in April of 2022. Economists said the slower credit growth reflected the impact of rising interest rates. BSP Governor Felipe Medalla says brisk credit growth and adequate liquidity will continue to sustain the momentum of economic growth. President Bongbong Marcos believes that urban farming will help greatly in achieving food security and alleviating poverty in the country. The president made this remark as he launched the Hapag Kay PBBM program in Manila. Hapag Kay PBBM combines two programs from the Agriculture Department and the Interior Department, which both encourage Filipinos to grow fruits and vegetables in their communities. The president is hopeful that the program will carry on even beyond his term.
It will help food supply. It will help provide kung ano talaga yung gusto ng mga consumer. At like I said, sa tulong ng pamahalaan, bibigyan natin sila ng technology, bibigyan natin sila ng mga seedlings, ng mga inputs. At sa tulong na, libre ang mangyayari.
Now, aside from the Hapag Kay PBBM project, the president also led the launch of the Kadiwa ng Pangulo over in Batangas. This project aims to bring cheaper produce to Filipinos amid the soaring prices. The project comes as Marcos Jr. said there is no need for special powers to arrest inflation, as the power he has now as president is enough to address the issue. The president was also present during the inauguration of a mega manufacturing plant in Batangas. According to Marcos Jr., the plant would help meet the 27% supply shortage of canned sardines in the country.
This plant will help meet the rising local demand for sardines, greatly contribute to our efforts in ensuring food security and making seafood more convenient to consume for families across the country.
In other news, the LTFRB has extended the deadline for traditional jeepney operators to consolidate or to join a cooperative or a corporation. The board's chairman, Teofilo Guadis, said jeepney drivers and operators will have 6 more months or until December 31st to consolidate. The initial June 30 deadline drew threats of a transport strike, but Guadis said the extension was not prompted by that.
There is no pressure for us for the strike because more than 90% of the transport groups have signified their support to the program of the LTFRB.
Now, despite the extension, Transport Group Manibela said they are pushing through with a strike set next week. They are expecting around 100,000 jeepneys and other PUV units to join the week-long protest action across the country.
Tuloy na tuloy po ito, sir. Sa ating pong mga kasamahan, wala pong bibitaw.
And on Wednesday, no less than President Bongbong Marcos appealed to the drivers and operators to rethink the strike. He said the PUV modernization program is necessary, but its implementation could still be improved.
Sa aking palagay, dapat ang pwedeng gawin ay inspeksyonin yung mga vehicles. Kahit luma, may luma naman maganda pa rin eh. Just because 5 years old or 10 years old, hindi na pwede. Tignan natin yung kondisyon. Kung maganda mag-alaga yung driver, maganda yung jeep niya, di pwede pang gamitin yan, safe pa naman. I'm hoping na dito sa mga initiatives na iniisip natin, makumbinsi naman natin ng mga transport groups na huwag na muna mag-strike dahil kawawa talaga ang tao at marami pang na naghihirap at hindi masalo pang maghihirap pag hindi makapasok sa trabaho.
We'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on One News. And you're still watching One News Now. I'm Dani Laurel. Megawide has signed a shareholders' deal with a Singapore-based group for a $300 million data center project. In a disclosure, Megawide says the project marks the company's first investment in the digital infrastructure space. The project will involve the long-term development of a 69-megawatt co-location data center in Cavite. The first phase will cover a 23-megawatt deployment spread over 5 years inside a 4-hectare property. This transaction is still subject to the approval of the Philippine Competition Commission and all closing conditions. Citi has appointed Paul Favila as its new Philippine CEO and Country Officer. Favila replaces Aftab Ahmed, who was appointed Citi Taiwan CEO in January. Favila was previously in charge of Citi's FX rates, commodities, and structured solutions businesses in the country. He is Citi's first Filipino country head since the late BSP Governor Rafael Buenaventura over 35 years ago. On to some global tech updates. Companies such as Meta are flooding earning calls with commentary about their AI efforts. Bloomberg's Carolyn Hyde breaks down how the AI buzz is becoming a bright spot for tech stocks.
Want to make your investors happy? Well, apparently you just need to start talking up artificial intelligence in your earnings calls. Get this, references to AI in relatable terms this earnings season up 77% compared to this time last year. And sure, the big tech juggernauts are doing it, the likes of Meta, Microsoft, Alphabet, Zoom, for example, but so are other companies. Fashion giants like Tapestry, equipment makers like Caterpillar, you're getting banks like Wells Fargo getting in on the action too. No wonder this is happening. Just think of the companies with AI expertise and what their stocks have done of late. Nvidia, the chip-making company that helps you with the computing power for AI tasks. Its stock is the best performing one this year in terms of mega caps. Got AI on your name? Bingo. Think of Big Bear AI. It's up 300%. C3 AI is more than doubled so far this year. But how are you going to distinguish the hype from the reality? Well, the advice is stay disciplined, understand what the business actually does, get to know the management, get to understand the competitive moat that they have, and also get to understand what the valuation really is.
Ed, let's give you the visual. I mentioned a few of those companies that have AI in their name. Big Bear AI, check it out. 336% up so far this year. You think of the likes of C3 AI, we've interviewed the CEO of late, up more than double. And I'm looking at BuzzFeed, which got announced its own AI using within some of its quizzes, up 125%. And if you're thinking about the technology companies, so they're going to be leading the charge in the orange here. But actually, just everyone is piling on in. Financials, I was thinking that Wells Fargo was out there giving its turning of focus of AI. Really, is there any company, I wonder, that isn't talking about it, Ed?
I absolutely love that chart. Far right-hand side of the screen, your left-hand side, says it all. The recent furor in the first quarter of how bonkers this has all gone. But you are right to point out there are sectors that by right you don't think should have anything to do with AI.
Yeah, but actually, when you dig into the nitty-gritty, they do. The fact that, you might be using artificial intelligence to be able to ensure that you're selling the right handbag at the right price point in the right visual, the way in which we're seeing Home Depot, even Caterpillar, a company that is so ahead of its time in terms of trying to have autonomous tractors. It too is trying to understand how AI can develop the way in which they produce and manufacture equipment.
For more updates, visit News 5, the Philippine Star, and Business World online, or visit our website, onenews.ph. For more in-depth analysis, you can also catch One News on the Signal Play app. Register for a free account now at www.signalplay.com and stream One News Live anytime, anywhere. I'm Danny Laurel. Join us again at 2 p.m. We are One News, all sides, all the time.